Learning objectives. After completing this module, learners will be able to describe the transition of the phases between hunters-gatherers and herders-settlers of ancient men and women, explain the criteria of the changes in their lives, state the concept of domestication and trends of changes towards farming and cultivation, relate the lives of tribal communities, list two major points of ancient settlements in the subcontinent. Hunter-gatherers to farmers. Modified lives of hunter-gatherers. Different food grains grow in different climates. Similarly, different animals survive in different climates. Through experience, the nomadic men were able to distinguish the plants and animals from their wild counterparts. The first animal tamed by hunter-gatherers was the wild ancestor of modern dog. Domestication of animals and plants. Hunter-gatherers gradually were able to separate the species of the plants which were not poisonous and yielded large-sized grain and could bear the weight of the ripe grain. Similarly, men tried to tame those animals who could help them in their daily activities. Domestication is a gradual process which commenced about 12,000 years ago. Eventually, all the plants and animal produce that we use as food today are results of the early days domestication. A new way of life. When herder nomads began to grow plants, they needed to stay one place for longer time so that they can take care of the plants and can harvest grain. To restore the grains, the primitive farmers made the earthen pots and baskets or dug pits into the ground. In several places in India, researchers have found the trace of farming in ancient time. They also found the burnt grains. In order to identify the grains, it is revealed that number of crops were grown in different time of the year throughout the subcontinent. Lives of settlers and different tribes. Settlers and their lives. People growing crops have to stay in the same place for a long time, since the crops require maintenance like constant watering and care for proper growth. The traces of huts or houses at some sites were found by archaeologists. In Borzoham, modern-day Kashmir, the pit houses were discovered. Pit houses are like circular or oval-shaped formation. These were dug below ground level using stone tools and plastered with mud provided them shelters in cold. Tools used in daily lives. Neolithic tools were found giving sharp cutting edges and polished outer parts. Mortars and pestles were also found which were used to grind the grains and other plant produce. Few tools were made of animal bones too. Other than these tools, the earthen pots with vibrant color and painting were also found to be used in cooking. Besides, they also started to weave cotton and other materials for their clothes. Ancient men cooked food like rice and lentils in those earthen pots. Lives and beliefs of the tribal communities. Ancient hunter-gatherers gradually became the herders and farmers. Farmers and herders lived in groups which were called tribes. The tribes followed different occupations like hunting, gathering, fishing, and farming and others. In tribal lives, several customs and rituals were found. They had their own gods and goddesses. The land, forests, grasslands, and crops were regarded as the property of the whole tribe. Two Neolithic sites in the subcontinent. Mehergarh. Mehergarh is located in a fertile plain near the Bolan Pass, as it was situated by one of the most important routes towards Iran and West Asia. Distinct type of rectangular or square houses have been found which had 4 or more compartments. It is believed that some of those rooms were used for storage of grains or seeds, milk, animal fleshes and plants' produce. For the first time in the subcontinent, people of this area learned to grow barley and wheat and rear sheep and goat. As archaeologists found, the people of this area earlier tamed the deer and wild pig. Lately, they started to tame the sheep, goat and other cattle. In Mehergarh, a burial arrangement was discovered where the dead person was buried with the goats and sheep. The people probably believed in the next world after death, for which the food was served for the dead person. Daujali Hadding. Daujali Hadding was situated near the Brahmaputra Valley, close to the routes towards China and Myanmar. Several mortars and pestles were found here, which were used to grow the grains and to prepare food from them. Jadeite stone was found here, which probably was brought from China at that time. Other than these, people knew the uses of fossil wood and the crafts of pottery works too. Summary. Let us summarize what we have learned. More than 12,000 years ago, ancient men started to learn the process of domestication of plants and animals. Settlers took several years to transform themselves into farmers, and this was mainly dependent on the climate and physical characteristic of those places. Along with herding and farming, ancient people learned the pottery, weaving, and other activities as well. Ancient tribes had their own customs and rituals, which were depicted by their different rich cultural heritage. Mehergarh and Daujali Heding were two places in the subcontinent where the primitive Neolithic settlements of ancient men were discovered.